All right, let's jump right in. If you're deep in the trenches of advanced risk management studies, you already know this. Aggregating risk isn't just some chapter in a textbook. It's pretty much the core of the entire discipline. So today, we're skipping the 101 stuff and diving straight into a masterclass on aggregation methods, really designed to sharpen your thinking for those top-tier exam questions. So here's the game plan for this deep dive. We'll start by quickly framing why this all matters with the enterprise risk imperative. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of dependencies and the quantitative methods. The real heart of our session, though, is going to be the advanced modeling with copulas. And of course, we'll wrap it all up with a big recap and some very targeted exam practice. Okay, so let's start with the most fundamental principle. Why do we even bother aggregating in the first place? Well, because looking at risks in their own little silos isn't just inefficient, it's downright dangerous and gives you a completely flawed picture. And this quote, this really captures the essential mindset shift we're talking about. We're moving away from just having a laundry list of individual threats, and instead, we're looking at a dynamic, interconnected system of risks. You have to see the entire web, not just a few of the individual strands. So ERM is what puts this holistic view into practice. It forces us into this constant balancing act between two huge opposing forces. On one side, you have risk concentration. That's where different risks can pile up and actually amplify each other. But on the other side, you've got diversifying effects, where some risks can actually start to cancel each other out. And mastering that balance, that's the whole game. And this is exactly why ERM isn't just some defensive playbook. No, it's a strategic tool. When you understand the full, unvarnished risk landscape, you can make way smarter decisions about capital. And here's the crucial part. It gives you the confidence to take on smart, educated risks to actually enhance value. It's about playing offense, not just sitting back and playing defense. Right. So if we're going to aggregate risks, we obviously need a language to describe how they actually relate to one another. And that language is dependency. Now, you can think about dependency on a spectrum. At the two absolute extremes, you have, on one side, independent risks. Think of something like a factory fire in Brazil and an earthquake in Japan. Totally unrelated. On the other end, you have fully dependent risks. These move in perfect lockstep. If one happens, you can bet the other is happening too. But of course, in the real world, most risks live somewhere in that huge, messy space between those two extremes. And that's where correlation comes in. It's our standard statistical tool to quantify this partial relationship. It gives us a single number that tries to describe how strongly two things move together. And this is the golden rule. It is the central pillar of modern portfolio theory, and you have to know it inside and out. The less related two risks are, the lower their correlation, the more power we unlock by holding them together in the same portfolio. This is the very engine of diversification. All right, we've set the stage with all the theory. Now let's get our hands dirty with the mechanics. How do we actually put some numbers behind these concepts and combine these risks? And this brings us right to the fundamental problem we're trying to solve. If most risks are only partially dependent, how on earth do we calculate with any precision the total amount of capital we need to hold for a portfolio of them? And this table, it just brilliantly illustrates the mathematical bookends of our problem. For fully dependent risks, it's dead simple. You just add them up. 1 + 1 = 2. There's no reduction at all. But for fully independent risks, the formula changes to the square root of the sum of the squares, and that number will always be less than the simple sum. And that mathematical difference, the gap between the simple sum and that square root formula, that's it. That is the diversification benefit, made tangible and quantifiable. It's the proof that the capital you need for the whole portfolio is measurably less than the sum of the capital you'd need for each risk held in isolation. So let's lock this definition in. The diversification benefit is that tangible, quantifiable reduction in required capital that you earn, and I mean earn, by building a portfolio of risks that are not perfectly 100% correlated. It is the financial reward you get for intelligent risk architecture. Okay, so correlation is an absolutely essential tool. We know that. But, and this is a big but, it has some critical limitations. It basically assumes these nice, neat, linear relationships that often just shatter in the real world. For a much more sophisticated view, we need a more powerful tool, and that tool is the copula. Now, this is the question that should keep every serious risk manager up at night. What happens during a major market crash? Do assets that seemed completely uncorrelated suddenly start moving in lockstep, all heading for the exit at the same time? This is the scary domain of tail risk, and it's where simple correlation can fail and fail catastrophically. Okay, I know that is a mouthful of a textbook definition. Let's make it intuitive. Think of a copula as a kind of mathematical engine. What it does is actually brilliant. It lets you separate a risk's individual behavior, its own personality if you like, from its interactive behavior. This means we can model how a risk behaves on its own and then plug that into a totally separate, way more flexible model of how all the risks interact. And this is exactly why copulas are so incredibly powerful. They let us move beyond that single, simple correlation number. We can actually model dependencies that only show up during extreme events, that nasty tail risk we were just talking about. We can do this by choosing a specific type of copula, like a student's T copula, which is explicitly designed to handle fatter tails. This leads to far more robust, far more realistic capital models. Wow. Okay. We've gone all the way from high-level ERM principles to the really sophisticated mechanics of copulas. So now, let's pull it all together, consolidate this knowledge, and focus on how you can apply this under real exam pressure. Okay, for a question like this, precision is absolutely everything. First, you state the formula for portfolio A. Capital is the simple sum of the individual capitals. Then, for B, you state the formula. It's the square root of the sum of the squares. But here's the kicker, the part that gets you the top marks. You must explicitly compare them. You have to state that B's capital requirement will be lower, and then you must name that difference as the diversification benefit. Connect all the dots. Right. With this one, you've got to connect the big ideas. Start by defining the diversification benefit clearly. Then you have to link it directly to ERM. Explain that it's a primary outcome of taking that holistic risk view. And critically, you must describe the inverse relationship. As correlation goes down, heading towards -1, the diversification benefit goes up. Its magnitude increases. Now this is a top-tier question. Your answer needs a really clear weakness solution structure. Start with the flaws of correlation, its big assumption of linearity and normality, which we know is often wrong. Then, you position copulas as the more sophisticated solution. You have to explain how they handle nonlinear relationships, and specifically why that's so important for modeling the tail dependencies that are the biggest concern for financial institutions. And now for a super quick rapid-fire recap for your revision notes. ERM. Think holistic view. Dependency, it's all about the relationship. Correlation, that's how we measure it. Aggregation, the act of combining risks. Diversification benefit, that's the capital you save. Copula, for modeling complex, gnarly dependencies. And tail risk, those extreme, once-in-a-lifetime events. So I'll leave you with a final thought, a question that's really shaping the future of the entire risk profession. As our models get more and more complex, and our computing power grows, where do we draw the line? When is the brutal precision of a copula worth the loss of transparency you get with simple correlation? That's a critical debate. Thank you so much for joining this explainer.